Am I the whole for getting my ex-boyfriend fired after he tried to get me kicked off my midwifery course and sabotage my current relationship? Triggering warning: miscarriage. Sorry for any spelling/grammar errors. I'm dyslexic. I have removed a duplicate paragraphs I completely skip over when making edits for clarity. Thank you to the commenter who noticed. So, a bit of background. About 2.5 years ago, January 2023, I, 24F now, had just ended things with my ex, Adam, now 26M. We'd been together for about 1.5 years at the time. There were several reasons for the breakup. The biggest one was his complete lack of respect for my education. I've always taken my studies seriously. I earned a first-class honors degree in history and archaeology, and I'm currently working toward another degree in midwifery, which will make more sense as the story unfolds. Adam, on the other hand, was openly hostile about my academic choices. He hated the idea of spending money on education and constantly belittled me for wasting my time on something he considered pointless. He'd done his A-levels and went straight into working as a cook. Last I'd heard, before everything that follows, he was on track to become a top chef at a highly regarded restaurant. At the time of our breakup, I had no idea I was already 8 weeks pregnant. I was on the pill, which had significantly lightened my periods. I wasn't getting cramps anymore, and any bleeding was just spotting or sometimes nothing at all. I know birth control isn't 100% effective, but between the pill and using condoms consistently, I really thought the chances were pretty low. Beyond this, I didn't have any obvious symptoms either, just a bit fatigue I chalked up to being knacked from working on my dissertation. Life went on as normally as it could in the weeks following the breakup. I was, of course, upset. Heartbreak is never easy, but I kept myself distracted, pouring my energy into writing what turned out to be an incredible dissertation on early modern burial sites and funeral traditions, not to brag, but the highest mark in my degree cohort. But then, about 2 weeks after the breakup, everything changed. One evening, I was suddenly hit with the most intense pain I've ever felt. I started cramping severely and bleeding heavily. It was terrifying. My housemate walked in, took one look at me, and immediately went into action. She got me into her car, called my mom, and rushed me to the nearest A&E. That's where I found out I was 10 weeks pregnant and that I had miscarried. I was in complete shock and absolutely heartbroken. Adam was the baby's father, and despite everything, I felt he had a right to know. So I reached out to tell him. Instead of any kind of support or understanding, he exploded. He accused me of cheating, said I was making the whole thing up just to try and win him back, as I had finally realized that he was right the entire time about my education. Needless to say, I hung up on him. Thankfully, the midwife who overheard the conversation, who we'll call Emma, F28 now, was incredible. She was so kind, reassured me that I hadn't done anything wrong, and took the time to walk me through what had happened, what to expect next, and where to find support. She stayed with me throughout my time in the hospital, offering genuine compassion to every patient she interacted with, no matter the situation. We kept in touch after I was discharged and actually became good friends. Watching her work, listening to her stories, and experiencing her empathy firsthand completely changed my perspective. It was because of her that I started seriously considering a career in labor and delivery. After I graduated, I got a job and decided to return to a local sixth form college to take A-levels in biology and chemistry, both essential for applying to midwifery programs at nearby universities. It's been a lot of work over 2 years, but it's all been worth it. Right now, I've got 2 offers on the table, and if I get the grades, I'll be starting my midwifery degree this September. Throughout all of this, Emma's been an incredible support. She's been helping me build a solid foundation, teaching me basic skills, including first aid, and guiding me through the early steps of what's to come. On top of everything, I've also started seeing someone new, Brian, 25M. He's honestly been amazing. We met about 2 months ago, and things moved quickly between us, but in the best way. In such a short time, he's become a real source of strength for me. He is my rock. He's constantly cheering me on as I work toward my new goals, asking thoughtful questions, and helping me reconnect with parts of myself I'd lost after everything that happened with Adam. Brian knows about the miscarriage and fully understands that I need time and space with certain things. He's been incredibly patient and supportive, giving me the kind of love and care I only wish I'd had before. That leads us on to the events of late. About 3 months ago, I got a call from one of the lecturers who had interviewed me for my midwifery application. They told me the university had received several complaints via email from a concerned citizen claiming I was mentally unfit to work with new mothers and newborns. When I asked for more details, the lecturer explained that someone had accused me of being sectioned after my miscarriage, saying I was a danger to myself and others, a complete lie. They even went so far as to question my ability to care for others, reportedly saying, "She couldn't keep her own baby alive and how can she look after someone else's?" I was absolutely floored. That level of cruelty hit me like a punch to the chest. I explained to the lecturer that while I had been deeply affected by the miscarriage, I sought help through therapy, family, friends, and local support groups. At no point was I ever sectioned, nor was I considered a risk to myself or anyone else. Thankfully, I was able to collect the necessary medical documentation and clear everything up. The university closed the matter. At the time, I had no idea who would say and do something so vile. That is, until last week. Last week, Brian received an email from an unknown sender about me. The message repeated the same cruel accusations that had been sent to my university. It claimed I was an unfit girlfriend, that I had lied about where I'd been over the past 2 years, and that I'd actually been in a mental health facility the whole time. It even went as far as saying I couldn't take care of him because I couldn't keep a baby alive. Brian was furious. As soon as I got home, he showed me the email and immediately reassured me. He told me he believed me completely because I had been honest with him from the very beginning. He held me, comforted me, and made it crystal clear that whoever sent that message didn't know the first thing about the person I really am. Once I'd calmed down, Brian started doing some digging into where the email had come from. It didn't take long for him to trace it back to a local restaurant. When I compared it to the email my university had received, I'd managed to get a printed copy. We realized both had come from the same sender. I began mentally running through the list of people who knew about my miscarriage and had any connection to that restaurant, and only one name came to mind: Adam. Out of curiosity, we checked his LinkedIn and, sure enough, he'd been working at that exact restaurant for the past 2 years. Brian, my mom, and I decided to go there in person. We asked to speak with the manager and the owner and presented them with copies of both emails, along with the dates and times they were sent. We asked point-blank why someone from their business would send such vile, personal messages designed to sabotage my future education and career. They were completely shocked. Both insisted they had no idea the emails had been sent and said they absolutely hadn't come from them personally. That's when we explained the situation, my history with Adam, the miscarriage, and everything that had happened since. As we spoke, the manager suddenly went pale. He recalled that during both of those timeframes, Wednesday lunch shifts, Adam would have been left alone in the office to submit a food order using the staff computer. They checked their email logs, and sure enough, both messages were sitting in the sent folder, timestamped during Adam's solo office time. The manager and owner were incredibly apologetic. They offered to contact the university on my behalf to clarify what had happened and said they would handle the situation with Adam internally. Later, I found out Adam had been fired and even blacklisted from a few local restaurants. Not long after that, he began posting online, claiming that Brian and I were out to ruin his life and destroy his reputation by turning him into a social outcast. Honestly, I was left feeling really guilty about the whole situation. As much as I knew Adam was in the wrong, part of me just needed closure, some understanding of why he did what he did. So, I reached out and asked if we could meet to talk things through, clear the air, and maybe get some kind of resolution. We met this morning at our local Starbucks. Brian came along too, sitting at a nearby table just in case things took a turn. At first, it was the usual small talk, "How have you been?" and "Nice weather today," that kind of thing. After a few minutes, I got straight to the point. I looked him in the eye and asked him directly, "Why? Why send those emails? What did he think he'd gain?" His answer left me speechless. He told me he'd heard from mutual acquaintances that I was about to start my midwifery degree. And in his words, he thought he could save me from taking on unnecessary debt and instead help me build a future with him, proving to the world that we didn't need universities or higher education. He admitted that his goal was to sabotage my plans and then win me back, saying I was the best thing that had ever happened to him. I was stunned. I reminded him that the last time we spoke, he'd accused me of cheating, that he abandoned me emotionally when I needed him most, and that he had point-blank used it to try and ruin my future. He told me to drop the miscarriage sob story, and that all I had to do to be with him again was ask. That was it for me. I told him I never wanted to see him again. I told him that I would block him on everything, get a restraining order if he came close to me again, and to consider himself lucky that I hadn't gone public with everything he'd done. I made it clear that I didn't need his permission or his twisted version of help to live my life. If he had truly cared, he would have supported me from the beginning, just like Brian has. And there was no way I'd ever leave Brian. Not for him. Not for anyone. After this, Adam left. As he walked away, he said I was just as bad as him, and that I'd stooped to his level to ruin his life, and that he hoped that would haunt me forever. Now I'm torn. On one hand, Adam made his own bed. He misused his workplace's resources to try to sabotage my future. He made a calculated, cruel decision, and now he's facing the consequences of that. I never set out to get him fired. That was entirely his employer's call. On the other hand, I can't help but question whether going to his workplace was the right move. Maybe I could have confronted him privately first. Honestly, I was scared he wouldn't stop and would eventually succeed in ruining everything I've worked for. I felt like I needed to protect myself. Still, even with everyone around, Brian, Emma, my family, my friends, reassuring me that I did nothing wrong, I can't shake Adam's words. They linger. They make me wonder if I really did stoop to his level. So, am I the a-hole? Update. I thought I would post with a short update, especially after reading all your comments. Thank you to everyone who left a comment and advice. I do really appreciate it. I ended up going to the police and filing a report, but I made it clear I wasn't planning to press charges. I just wanted to make sure the evidence was officially documented. The officer I spoke to was honestly amazing. They walked me through documenting everything properly and explained a few options I could consider if I ever change my mind or if the situation gets worse. But in short, getting a restraining order, it's pretty unlikely. Like I mentioned in a comment, Adam isn't physically harassing me. He's not showing up at my house or work or anything like that. It's all been online harassment. That said, I could potentially pursue a harassment injunction or even a defamation case. The problem is, I don't exactly have the money for a lawyer right now since I'm paying for my degree and tuition out of pocket, but it's definitely something I'll keep in mind for the future. If Adam tries anything like this again, I won't hesitate to press formal charges. As for Adam, Brian and I have completely blocked on everything. No way for him to reach us. I do have one friend who he doesn't know exists, keeping an eye on his socials just in case he posts something or gets another job we should be aware of. But so far, he's been radio silent. As for me, I've decided to stop moping around and feeling sorry for myself. I didn't do anything wrong here. Adam dug his own grave. I'm a badass woman with an amazing partner, a supportive family and friends, and a bright future ahead. I'm not about to let some petty idiot get the better of me, especially with uni decisions coming up next Thursday. Thank you all so much for the support. If anyone's interested, I'd be happy to post an update next Thursday with how my A-level results go and what happens with my uni offers. I'm pretty confident I'll at least get into my insurance choice.